Welcome everyone to another episode of 10 Minute Poker Tips. We have a special guest today. Her name is Leah Bella. She is a poker coach, but then also she's been doing, I think, a bunch of lobbying in your career, and you've been very involved with this very recent bill that's going to have a big impact on poker players. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I've been playing poker for about 25 years now.
Okay.
My dad taught me when I was 17. We pretty much went everywhere in the country and played poker. And then in 2012, he actually had a stroke at the poker table
Oh my
and passed
gosh.
away. So I stopped playing poker for about 4 years. When I got back into the scene, online poker was really big. And I realized you can make a lot more money online than you can just, single tabling live. So now I pretty much play online poker. And I also do some poker coaching. I am a certified mental health coach as well. So I teach the mental side of poker with things like hemisync, bilateral sound. I also teach how to handle your emotions at the table, things like that. And then I offer 30 free days of poker coaching to those who have never played before that want to get into the game. I think that's very important.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
So when I'm Yeah, and while I'm not doing that, I'm also advocating for players' rights and fair betting laws. And that's kind of what I've been working on. I'm living, breathing poker all day, all night.
That's incredible. You have your hands in so many things, but it's great to have you, going to bat for poker players. So tell us a little bit about this crazy act that just got introduced. Like, where did it come from? Like what happened?
Right. So it's called the Fair Bet Act, which is actually a good thing. But what happened before that is on the 4th of July of this year, there was something called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that went into law. Well, which will be into law in 2026, was signed though. And Senator Mike Crapo from Idaho decided he was going to sneak a provision into the bill. Yes, sneak it in, that would basically not allow you to deduct 100% of your losses. Okay. So what that means is you're going to pay a 10% phantom tax. So the reason why he snuck it in is because he knows it's a terrible bill. He didn't want anybody else to find out about it. And he was right. No one did until after it was too late.
Yeah.
Once we found out about it in August, we were all shocked. And the good thing is that Dina Titus she's a representative from Nevada. She actually felt like 3 days later after it went into effect, she worked on it quickly and got the Fair Bet Act out. What this will do is amend that provision and then take it back to what its current language is, which is 100% deductions. That is important that we get it through sooner than later because it's a phantom tax, which means you are paying a tax off of something that you don't have. It's money that you never earned. If you want to if you want me to give you examples, for a recreational player, which I call a productive recreational player. If you're a rec player and you're like, all I do is lose, this doesn't affect me. It will, which I'll talk about soon. But if you're a losing player, it's not going to affect you. And I feel bad for you. You need to want to win. Yeah. And if you win anything, this could affect you. So for example, for a recreational player who wins $12,000 in a year and then loses it, they're still going to have to pay 10% off of $1,200. So they're not going to be able to write off the whole $12,000 anymore like this year. Starting next year, they'll only be able to write off $10,800 of it, which leaves about $1,200 left to be taxed. And that means you're going to pay anywhere from, depending on your tax bracket, $144 to $288, plus an extra $60 in state taxes, which isn't good because that's $1,200 in income that never existed. You shouldn't have to pay that. Now, when it comes to pros, it gets ugly. Let's just say a pro, I don't know, makes $300,000, and just to make it easy on everybody, because I know everybody can do simple math, and loses the $300,000, you're only going to be able to write off, technically, $270,000. That means you're going to have $30,000 that's going to be taxed, around $6,500 to $7,200, depending on what tax bracket you're in. And that again puts that $30,000, if you're a pro, because you're itemizing, that now turns that $30,000 into earned income, which means, Derek, if you are on the ACA, Affordable Health Care, you may just catapulted yourself over the cap and you're going to lose your health care.
Yeah.
If you have children and you are married, you may have just put yourself over the child tax credit and lose your child tax credit. This also goes for the recreational players too, the productive ones. You can also catapult yourself out of health coverage and out of the child tax credit and more.
So
That's
basically,
very concerning.
the major point there though is that this basically this tax is going to be on your profits, sorry, on your earnings and not your profits. So basically, if your earnings was 300K and then you lost another 300K to net to zero, you would still owe taxes on that extra 10%, right? Which would be 30K. That's what the problem is.
Correct. And that's a phantom tax.
Yes.
What also worries me is online players. Okay. What happens is if you're just occasionally playing online every month and you're winning 3,000 here, 2,000 here, that adds up, but you've never cashed out. So at the end of the year, when you go to do your taxes and the tax person tells you, hey, you owe $3,000 in taxes because you can only write off 90%, your spouse is going to be very upset with you that your
Right.
tax return is probably going to get eaten now by something that you never cashed out. You've never put that money into your bank account.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing for people on a budget.
This is extremely unfair. And so I've kind of read in some places that this shouldn't impact recreational players as much. So what is the difference between the pro and the rec? Like what does a rec sort of like, I don't know.
Well, they're saying that recreational players don't spend enough for it to impact you.
Oh.
But the problem is, I just gave you an example where it does.
Yeah.
$600, $500, you have to pull that out of your check, out of your savings account to pay that.
Right.
So it is going to affect them. If you win anything and gets reported, you're going to have to pay a tax on it. That's the concerning part. But I also want to go a step further, if I will. What happens is this is why it also affects recs that are like, well, I don't care, I don't win anything. Why it affects you is this opens Pandora's box for other phantom tax. If you own a home,
Yeah.
and that house gets tax assessed every 3 years, and now your property was worth 200,000, they came out 3 years later, it's now worth 250,000. That's $50,000 in unrecognized gain. They could possibly put a phantom tax on that and make you pay that, even though you're not selling your house and it's not your locals. It's an entirely separate phantom tax that they could get away with. Also, the stock market. It could also become where your stocks have phantom taxes on it. So we all need to be worried about this. We are the canary in the coal mine. As poker players, this is the first stop, and we need to be the loudest stop about it.
Yeah, people don't realize how much there is extreme, like slippery slope with a lot of these things, especially with taxation. Like our taxation system in the very beginning was not remotely close to what it is now. So you just have to know if you give these politicians an inch, they will take a mile eventually. And this is going to hurt the community, quite a bit. Yeah, so this is like really scary. So even if you are, so to say that you have some sort of business that does poker, right? So maybe it's like a podcast, maybe you sell some merchandise, and you use those business expenses to try to write off, your expenses on the year on top of your kind of your poker expenses. You still are going to be basically 10% short of whatever you can write off because of this bill. Like there's no way of getting around it. Like whatever it is that you do, you're going to end up with some sort of like 10% shortfall on your taxes.
Correct. And that's why I started a petition. You can go to change.org. It's urging Congress to pass the Fair Bet Act. We have close now to 400 signatures and counting. So it's very important that we get the word out by doing the petition. And what was interesting is this grassroots movement, Dina Titus's tweet that came out about this only had like 3,000 views on it. After we started this petition, it had over 1.1 million. So we know that it's getting traction. We were written about internationally afterwards. So it's important that if you don't think your voice counts, it does.
So tell us a little bit about the petition, and I think you also have experience lobbying in general. Like, what does that kind of process look like, and also how, or is this petition in any way, connected to Titus, or just more like supporting her?
It's more like supporting her, but when it comes down to it, you need something to get attention on it. And we just weren't being loud enough in the poker community because a lot of us did not think it was going to affect us.
Yeah.
But now that we've dug into these laws, we know better, and we know that it's coming after us and going to hit us hard. So that was the main reason why I wanted to start the petition, basically to get a stir and start the chatter from happening. And it did. And I'm really proud about that. As for lobbying, it's something that I kind of did unorthodox a few years ago. I went down with friends for a totally unrelated issue. They were trying to get state funding for their school, and they know that I have a political background. So I went down to help them. We started to talk about what I did for a living. I said poker, and that's how I started advocating. I went down the following year. I loved it so much, did it again. And then this spring, I'm actually joining up and partnering up, which is an announcement that's coming in January, with a bigger poker organization. And we're actually going to go down together and try to set appointments and actually tackle this head on. I will be talking about the Fair Bet Act, and I'll also be talking about the fact that we need to get online poker in more states.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important as well.
Yeah, it's huge because right now, just the compacts that they have with a handful of states, I can't imagine in our lifetimes or even in our like children and grandchildren's lifetimes that we would ever see all 50 states like ever in there, right? So we have to do something.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, there will be states that never, ever do it.
Yeah,
But the UIGEA Act of 2006, it was basically an act that didn't allow, I think, banks to transfer online poker monies to, that's still in effect as of today.
that's
That law
right.
is still in the books.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why online poker can't expand. Uh, and my point about bringing this up is, you have to understand this law was so hard to get out that it's still in there. Imagine if if the Fair Act doesn't go through,
Yeah,
how are we going to get it out?
right,
The law is so hard to get out once it's put into place.
right.
And that's why I'm saying we have to do this. And Congress, everybody's on holiday starting December 20th. So we have to get this done now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very, very scary. And again, with UIGEA, I even feel, um, I've been saying this forever, is that I really felt like the operator should have fought a lot harder, in courts to fight for the legality of poker, to talk about poker as being a game of skill. And I know they tried to do this, but there were so many carve outs and so many other like businesses that have done, what we call kind of regulatory entrepreneurship, right, where they're able to just like get too big to basically ban. And I feel like poker has sort of made some mistakes along the way, but hopefully with this and your efforts, right, we will kind of roll back this extremely unfair provision that got in there. So other than like signing the petition, how else can the community kind of help, I don't know, just like fix this?
Yeah, I think what we need to do right now is contact Representative Jason Smith.
Okay.
He is one of the chairmen. He's the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. And what happens next is we need a hearing. We need a hearing before December 20th to get this pushed through. And Jason Smith can get it done. So if you want to maybe message him on X, his X account is at Rep Jason Smith, SMITH. You can actually call his office. I talked to his staffers. They're wonderful people. They're here to help. They've answered a lot of my questions. It's 202-225-4404. Again, it's 202-225-4404. You can talk to them and tell them that you want him to put a hearing on the books, so that way we can get this passed. You can also call your Senate switchboard at 202-224-3121 and ask your state representative to pass the Fair Bet Act as well. But right now, this is in Jason's hands from what I'm understanding, and we need to get him to schedule a hearing before the new year.
So Jason's office will take calls from anyone, anywhere. They don't have to specifically be in his district or anything like that, right?
Right. When I talked to his staff and I asked him what I should do next, he said, you're calling the right place.
Oh, okay.
I can get this to Jason that you want a hearing to go through.
Great.
And I can get him everything you need. What I would suggest to do is call your Senate switchboard and tell your state representative, request to talk to them, leave a message for them, and then call Jason's office. It's not going to hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
The word's going to get to him at some point. At this point, I'm just trying to contact anybody and everybody I can in DC to try to help out. Here's the good news, if there's any bright side. This is such a niche issue that if we can get it to hearing, I doubt there's going to be any pushback.
Yeah.
We're in lame duck session. There's no elections going on right now.
Yeah.
So we could possibly get this through now, but it's going to take all of us to help.
Yeah, so everyone, make both phone calls, head up their social media account too. It only takes you a minute to do, each of those things. And again, to potentially let this thing get through, it will be impossible to get out, to Leia's point. So if people wanted to learn more about kind of all the stuff that's going on and maybe even things that you're working on, what's the kind of best way for them to keep track of all of that?
Sure, they can reach me it's Lele Poker. It's LELEPOKERR. There's two R's. Somebody already had the other one. And also, you can work with my colleagues as well. They're working just as hard as me. They're trying to get this through. It's Sara O'Connor at Sara Smartest on X and James Cloutier on X as well. They're also helping me. And if you want to follow, that would be great to follow me. We're going to be announcing some big things coming up next year.
Great. I'm going to put all those handles and all those phone numbers, by the way, up on the screen so that you're able to track all of those. I'll also put them in the description of this YouTube video. So make sure that you follow up on all of that. Definitely follow Leia on Twitter, because she is really a huge advocate for us. And, it's great. It's actually so nice. Actually, the poker community has a lot of domain experts, right? That are just really good at what they do, and they just all happen to play poker. So we actually have a really, really like vibrant community of people that can do a lot of things. But Leia, thank you so much for coming on. Unbelievable to just have somebody like you in our corner. So thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.